वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। अथ द्वादशोऽध्यायः। एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमाः। मय्यावेश्य मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेतास्ते मे युक्ततमा मताः। ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यमव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम्। सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धय ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः। क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषामव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिर्वाप्यते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परा अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धरता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम्। मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः। अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय। अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि। अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्। श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानात् विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम्। अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी। सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः। यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोको लोकान्नो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः। अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः। यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान् यः स मे प्रियः। समः शत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः। तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेता स्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः। ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्दधाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्।
उपस्थित भगवत भक्तों के रूप में मेरी
अपनी ही आत्माओं। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता भगवान के मुखार बिंद से निकली हुई अमर वाणी है, और जो भी जीव श्रद्धा सहित इस अमर वाणी को धारण करता है, वो जीवत्व को छोड़कर ईश्वरत्व की प्राप्ति करता है, इसमें कोई संशय नहीं है। ये जीवात्मा चाहे जिस देश में रहे और चाहे जिस भेष में रहे, गीता सबका सब काल में समान रूप से कल्याण करने वाला एक अनुपम एवं अलौकिक ग्रंथ है।
सुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षीभूतं भवातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि, सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। is my soul, longing just for you. Come back, oh my darling, still I'm waiting for. The wind is a-blowing, the sky turned to darkness, the star that's rising vanished from the sky. Lonely is my soul, longing just for you. Come back, oh my darling, still I'm waiting for. The wind is a-blowing, the sky turned to darkness, the star that's rising vanished from the sky. Lonely is my soul, longing just for you. Come back, oh my darling, still I'm waiting for. Sweetness which I do seek, thou art my life, thou art my love, thou art the sweetness which I do seek. So sweet, so sweet. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमादनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. You can now gently and slowly open your eyes and know that you are a unique and beautiful spiritual being of pure consciousness, and all you have to do is to shine brightly, and you'll be helping the world and the universe. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gurudev, Jai Geeta Mata. Stay blessed.
Vasudevasutam Devam Kansachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gurudev. I extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for being with us tonight. Dr. Gurubai, Dr. Kapoorji, as you know, Joshiji is not going to be here today.
Oh, you want me?
Yeah, मैंने आपको email भेजी थी.
Oh,
So over to you, Joshiji. Take it from here.
okay. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gurudev. Happy Thursday, happy Guruvar. This is a very significant Thursday. Sometime today and tomorrow, we will have a full moon. I will send the link for Swami Geeta Kiranji's meditation for tomorrow. In USA, it will be in the morning. In India and Eastern world, it will be in the evening. So please look at the link and try to join. Since Dr. Narendra Kapoorji will not be here today, I somehow missed out again. So that's okay. So we will have more time to listen to Dr. Prasadji. Those who were present last week, we had a very insightful study and discourse by Dr. Prasadji on yajna, especially mentioned 12 types of yajna with different categories. Whenever yajna or homa is performed, there is always an objective, a goal. You want something. I remember very distinctly in Rajasthan, a havan was done near Jodhpur, and right after that it rained heavily for a few minutes. There were no clouds before, no clouds after, and went away. And occasionally major havans are done to invite rain in the desert area. One of the goals that they have to do havan, and it happens. Also, yajna can get deep down into you and bring out the wisdom, the gyan that is hidden in our hearts. And the famous sloka of yajna that we all know that we do before we eat. That's all about the Havan. So, Dr. Saab, thank you very much for bringing a very powerful, deep down study of yajna that you brought out yesterday. And once it comes on YouTube, I will relay that again with an introduction of what we are doing on Thursday, which was just very, very insightful. So with that, I want to request Dr. Prasadji to please take over. And if time is left, I will take some more discussion, but you have all the time to read, Dr. Prasadji. So please take it. Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you.
Jai Shri Krishna Joshi ji, thank you very much indeed for the introduction. Indeed, this portion which we are going through in Bhagavad Gita is really thought-provoking and the one we must understand very clearly and apply those in our lives. I will come to that after the prayer. Vansi vibhushita karan navanir dabha pitambara dharunabimba phala tarostha purnendu sundara mukha Arvind Netrat Krishnat Param Kimapi Tattvamam na jane Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Churunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. As I was saying, we are going through this Yajna segment in chapter 4. Bhagwan has here putting together a total of 12 yajna. The names are given here and we have talked about, they mentioned this earlier as well. Now all these 12 yajna can be conveniently put under two categories. One category where Bhagwan talks about how we can remove all the demerits. We get rid of the impurities, and as we have the organs provided by Bhagwan, the body with the constituents. Each one of us were born with impurity. Each one of us are born with Prakriti, and that Prakriti has either or more of the three gunas, Rajogun, Satogun, and Tamogun. Those are the gunas which are causing impurities in our organs or structures which we have. And as such, we are unable to get our vision directed towards Bhagwan. What is happening? We are all are Bahirmukhi. Even though we learn and understand and talk about Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridese Ardun Tisati, we know that Bhagwan is sitting in our heart. But we don't look at that. We go to the temples, we go to the places of pilgrimage, and we get attracted where others are at. You hear stories about people going to places here and there and get benefits from all those gifts from Bhagwan. So involvement of an individual with the world outside is much more than concentrating our energy or everything towards understanding as to what we are. That Bhagwan is in us. Why are we not able to see that? We may be discussing, we may be reading, we may be hearing all the discourses from everywhere. But why is it that as an individual, when I sit for prayer, when I sit for meditation, I find that instead we have got the statue of Bhagwan right in front. We are sitting in the lotus position, have the rosary in our hand. The rosary goes on and you are running all over the place in the world, not concentrating at the feet of the Lord where your mind should have been concentrating. It is not that you don't want it. You want it. For that purpose, you have sat in front of Bhagwan and you are putting all the effort so that your concentration from the feet of Bhagwan or from the flute of Bhagwan where you want to concentrate doesn't remain there. It runs away. Yato yato nischarati. Runs away from here and there. We try to bring it back. We try to bring that, but again, rosary is going on. And even from within your mind, you are reciting mantra, whatever you is there. But you are not there. You are with your friend or with your relative or here and there all the time. Why it is so? Simply because all those organs which are required to have concentration at one point, ekagrata, that chanchal, man is chanchal, chanchalam hi mana Krishna, एकाग्र नहीं होता है. मन को हम चाहते हैं एक जगह स्थिर रहे, रहता नहीं है. Why doesn't remain steady at one place? Simply because there are impurities and you cannot concentrate unless and until you get rid of those impurities. Bhagwan in these 6 yajna tells Arjuna as to how to properly, in an orderly way, in a very systematic way, no haphazard. It is beautiful. As you go along, you will find. It is so beautifully mentioned by Bhagwan. Where are those rusts? Where are those dust? And how you can remove those dust from different segments which are not allowing your harmonium to produce the music. You have the reeds, all of them are rusted. They have got the dust all over the place. You have to clean those dust and rust, and then you will play harmonium. Then, of course, the music will come. And then you will be able to improve upon the music. You can do something magical so that you are at the highest level in musical world. That is an example. For everything, everywhere, we must have our equipment all very much cleaned. And that is what Bhagavan is talking about in these 6 yajna, which I will take you through one after another and see how, which place there are possibilities of these impurities to get stuck and make it non-functional, and how we can get rid of what are those ways and means. Everything is given in Bhagavad Gita. Each and everything has been beautifully mentioned here and there. We will try to bring those together and go through the process which will lead to the purification or removal of all those impurities from those spots which have become impure because of our gunas. After those have been done, then you will find the following 6 yajna. Bhagavan talks about how to add on merits. Punya kaise aap kama sakte ho? How you can add on to your merits so that you are more and more towards the Bhagavan, and you will not return to your attachment to the world which had been pulling you towards the world all the time. Those are the ones given in last 6 yajna, which Bhagavan has mentioned in the chapter, in the verses from 28 to 30. We'll come to that. Last week, I had projected this slide, which I will again go through so that we have this picture in our mind, very explicit, very clear. We know the mechanism, and we know the points which have to be cleaned up. Of course, when we talk, Bhagavan talks of Brahma Yajna, that is the purest of the pure. That is the Brahma Yajna, that is the supreme consciousness. We reach that stage, then everything is Brahma. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurla. He is Mahatma, he is enlightened, he sees everything Brahmara Pram Brahmavir Brahma Garo Brahmanautam Brahmeva Taina Gantabyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. That is the stage when Bhagavan talks about this Brahma Yajna. But then there, beyond the Brahma, there is this Jagat and Jiva. The Sansara is there. In Sansara, there is outside world and there is inside world. World is the same. There also all the 5 elements, Bhumi, Apa, Anala, Vayu come. All those 5 elements and their composition is there, constituting the universe, entire world outside. The same is also present in the inside world in our body, which we call Vyashti Prakriti. The Prakriti in our body is taken as what is called Vyashti Prakriti, and the entire world outside is called Samashti Prakriti. The constituents are the same, but one is the outside the body and other the inside. Of course, that body is a jada. Body is not sentient, it's insensate, and it needs the power of Brahma through reflected consciousness, and that jiva, you are moving all over the place, active, active, has got life principle in it. The life principle in the body is in life is because of the power of Brahma. Now, unfortunately, the power of Brahma, which is enlightening the Prakriti, is doing its job of just giving power. We are functioning simply because of the composition of various gunas that body has, and that's how we are in the world behaving in different ways. Now, when we talk of world outside, what are there in that world? We have all the various objects in the world. Visaya. So Visaya The objects are in the world. Now what happens if there is a shop with having sweet meat, rasgulla is there, gulab jamun is there. Those are the objects. And as we pass through before the sweet meat market, you see those and you get attracted. Your nose gets the smell, eyes get the attraction there, and you feel you have got attachment. If you have previous attachment, you have previously tasted a particular sweet, you will feel like taking again. So there are sources of attraction all over the world, and those are the Visaya, subjects, objects. And in our body, which are the senses, so this Indriyas, all the senses we have got, eye, ear, nose, tongue, and skin, all those senses attract towards sense objects and then starts creating problem. Once we get attracted towards the objects in the world, that sensation is passed on to the mind and then the intellect, and then of course ego is the one, the antakaran, which is having reflected consciousness, giving its power, and the whole function, it goes on and on, functioning in a particular way. So Bhagwan tells us, why don't you get rid of your attraction towards outer world? If you do not, that's why people run away to Himalayas. There is one way of getting distracted from the world is to give up the home, give up everything, father, mother, everybody in the house, your property, and you take nothing, just run towards Himalayas. Now that is a physical way of running there. It has got its function, it's got importance, but more importantly, even if you do not have to go to Himalayas to get away from the objects in the world. You can still remain in your house, but completely detached from everything in the world. That is what you will feel, that you will realize. We'll come to that later on, but let me give you the feel of it. That Daiva Yagya, when Bhagwan talks about Daiva Yagya, through this Yagya, Bhagwan is trying to tell us to get away from the world outside. Don't get involved in the outside world. So if you are not involved, because the outside world is the problem, that world is you are attracted towards it. That's how the problem starts. You are not having attention towards Bhagwan, because they are diametrically opposite. One side is Bhagwan and other side is your world. You can't have one foot on one boat and another foot on another boat. You will get lost. So getting towards Bhagwan, there is a stepping process. You have the both feet there, then gradually you take one foot up, and those processes are there. We will come to that later on. It is not that you must leave the home, no, but gradually you can give up one thing, give up another thing, and that's why giving up is very important. Maharaji, when he used to travel, what he used to have? Nothing. In the box, he will have 2 or 3 pieces of his clothes. Nothing. Not that he did not, he would not have liked, people would have liked and people have liked, but he didn't. He had no attachment with anything, nothing. He just, something comes to my mind to tell you about Maharaji, but that will distract. Anyway, that will some other time. The thing is that people, those who take monastery life or get into Himalayas, they do so simply because to them, this is not. Even ordinarily, when we do fasting, when we do brata, what happens? Food is there everywhere. It is being cooked. The smell is there. But what happens? Our senses are not working. We stop our senses to get attracted towards food. But that's one item that we'll come to that later on. But here Bhagwan is talking about, in general, get rid of your association with the world. Once you get dissociated from the world, you have performed what is called Daiva Yagya. Next, Bhagwan talks about Visaya Havana Yagya. That means the objects, you do not allow the objects to reach or excite your senses. Either there are ways of those doing it, and I will come to that. But let me just say here that there is this Visaya Havana Yagya. That Visaya Havana Yagya idea here is, do not get attracted towards, do not let your senses get attracted towards the object. Then the senses, once they get attached to the object, the mind recognizes that. The recognition of this attachment is through association with mind. If his mind is not associated with senses, then you will not have the effect of it. It will not be having any effect if the senses are not having its mind onto it. So there is Indriya Havan, Indriya Sanjam Yagya. Indriya Sanjam, once you do that, then that you have been able to not allow the senses to disturb the mind. Then there is a Antahkaran Sanjam Yagya. That means your Antahkaran is purified. You do not allow your mind to disturb your intellect. And finally, there is Atma Samarpana Rupa Yagya. That is, you submit your ego entirely at the feet of the Lord. You burn away your ego. That is the Atma Samarpana Yoga. That's the ultimate yoga in the practice of the sadhana. In the sadhana, the highest yagya is Atma Samarpana Yoga. Your ego, because ego is last to go. Everything you can control, but ego is such. You have gone through so many stories in so many places. Bhagavan has tried to, even Arjuna, he had his ego. Bhagavan has taken away his ego. Uddhava and others, so many stories are there about ego. So ego is the last to go. And that is what Bhagavan talks about when he will talk about Atma Samarpana Yoga. Now let me take you through the other ones. The other ones, there is this sacrifice with material things, that is drabya, dan, sacrifice in the shape of penance, tapa, practice of yoga, yoga sadhana, study of sacred scripture, swadhyaya, practice of breath control, pranayam, and finally, Bhagavan talks about regulation of your food, ahar, sanyama. So all these yagya are through performance of dana, yagya, swadhyaya, you are earning more and more of merits. And you gain more of merit, you gain more of purities, and that's how you tapasya, you do tapasya, and you rise above and try to be with Brahma. Now let us go to the verses. We have gone through verse 24, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir, in great detail. Now 25th verse talks about Daivameva pare yagyam yogina paryupasate brahmagnava pare yagyam yagyenayvopayujyati. There are two parts here. Daivameva pare yagyam. Yoginah Paryupasate. This is one yajna, that is the Deva Yajna. And the other is Brahmagnava Pare Yagyam Yagye Nevopayujyati. And that is the yajna which is the yajna for the Atma Sanjam, for the Atma Sanjam Yoga. You get the Atma, the ego surrendered. So the two, let us talk about first this part. So some yogi offer sacrifice in the form of worship to the gods. Devameva pare yagyam yogina pratyupasate. Daivam evam apare yagya yogina. Apare yogina, that means other yogi. Devam yagyam pratyupasate. They perform Dev Yagya, worship to the gods. While others, they offer self, that is ego, as sacrifice in the fire of Brahma. If you remember, I had mentioned earlier that for all the yajna, what happens? There are three things. One is the ahuti, you offer. The other is sacrificial fire, that is Agni, in which you offer the offering, oblation. And then after the yajna, something happens. There is a result of that. There is outcome. So those three parts have to be mentioned for every yajna. So let us talk about Daiva Yajna. What happens here? What is the oblation? Worldly material, as I mentioned earlier, entire world, whatever there in the world material, you offer to Devata. These are the material of offering of material to Devata. To please the Devatas, you offer material. Just now, Guru Bhai Yosiji was talking about the yajna was performed in Jodhpur, where they performed yajna, and they had a purpose behind it. They wanted rain to come, and the rain, Varuna Devata was pleased, Indra Devata was pleased, and so there was rain. So there are Devatas, Indra Devata, Varuna Devata, Surya Devata, Devi, Ma Durga, Ma Kali, Ma Saraswati. All these are deities, Devatas, and they have individual power in them, limited, of course. So that power in them, they have ability to get that, or to the person to whom, the one who performs yajna, if they are pleased, they can offer, they can give them, they succeed in getting whatever they wish, if they have the wish. So the question of whether the outcome is what? Depending upon whether it is selfish desire, they want certain, like Putrestu Yajna, they want son. Now, if they want son, then they will perform a particular type of yajna to particular devata, and that yajna, one succeeds, then the effect will be the one for which they prayed, or they perform yajna. But the best yajna, of course, is selfless yajna, that you perform, Bhagwan mera kuch nahi hai, everything is yours. Todiyam vastu govinda tudhyameva samarpayet. What is there for me? All this patram, puspam, phalam, all those things are yours. I am offering that all to you. मैं अपना सर्वस्व आपको देता हूं. That is the bhavana, that is the whole purpose in this sacrificial worship to Devata, where you are offering to Bhagwan anything and everything what you think you possess. That is not your possession. You take those, consider those possessions to that of Bhagwan. So how I can offer you that? That is not mine. As such, I am not offering anything. That is yours. Todiyam vastu. It is your vastu, Bhagwan. I am offering to that. That is the highest sacrifice, highest Deva Yagya, where you are offering yourself, you are offering your ego onto Bhagavan, and that is the highest yajna. These are the upasana by Saguna Upasaka. These Daiva Yagya performed by those who are Saguna Upasak, that is upasana of God in the form, Saguna Upasak. But then there are others who are Nirguna Upasak. They do not offer something in the world, but they offer themselves. That what happens to them? Brahmagnava pariyagyam yagye nevopayujyati. Here, what is the offering? What is the oblation? That oblation is his ego. That is given to the fire of Brahma. The fire is Brahma and the oblation is ego. Now, what is happening here? That we are considering ourselves to be ourselves. Main hu, that is the limit of your considering yourself, your existence as individual, and there aham, ego comes in. I am this, I am that, I am. So whenever I comes in, I am this. That is the ego. So that ego, although it is understood, once you understand ultimately, finally, if one realize that you are not you, you are Brahma. You are not XYZ, the person, but you are Brahma, because everything is Brahma. But that realization is till such time that realization comes, you think that your body is what you are. But a Nirguna Upasaka, those who are surrendering the ego onto Bhagavan, they disconnect themselves. They disconnect the body from I. And once that is disconnected, one has to understand that when the jiva has two components, the jiva has, once we understand that jiva has two components. You remember we talked about Antahkaran in great detail. I went through Antahkaran in great detail to have this thing clear in our mind. That when we are talking about ego cannot function unless there is a power to it. It is through Antahkaran that we get enlightened. It is through Antahkaran that the power is given to us. And if that is disconnected, your reflected consciousness is disconnected, then Jiva becomes Ishwara. Gurudev always talks about Jivatva ko chhorkar Ishwaratva ki prapti karoge. Jivat jab tak ye ahankar rahega, as long as ego is there, you cannot give up Jivatva. You always think that this is Jiva, this is Jiva. When Bhagwan Gurudev Maharaj, when he talks about Meri apni hi atmao, that means plural. That he is talking about this reflected consciousness. He talks about Jivatma. It is Jivatma which is of varieties. Jivatma chahe jis desh mein rahe, chahe jis base mein rahe. That Jivatma he talks about, different Jivatma, is because he's talking about individuals in body form. But that is what here this Brahma Yoga talks about, that you disconnect yourself from the reflected consciousness and consider that everything is Brahma and not the ego. Ego is perishable. Ego is still to be discarded. And this yajna, when you talk of Nirguna Upasaka yajna, then the ego has to be surrendered entirely at the feet of the Lord. And then you are able to release yourself from Jivatva and become Ishwaratva. I think I will stop here and let Joseph talk about. I will deal with other yajna next week. Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Gurudev.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prasadji. What an analytical way to discuss Yagya, conscious, Jivatma, Antakaran, how they connect. Thank you very much. And dear Peter, I'm sorry, my apology, I missed out to read the email that you sent. But that's okay.
That's
We
fine.
had the opportunity to listen to Prasad in more detail today. It was such a continuation of the things. And eventually we will learn, who am I? And learn to accept I am that and that is not the body. Thank you very much. Well, I want to remind again, in USA tomorrow morning, there will be a meditation by Swami Geeta Kiran on full moon. And Geeta Kiran, I have therapy on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Same time, but I will join you. I will join you from the wherever I will be. So with that, let's have a absorbing blessings power for what we heard from Dr. Prasadji today. Think about it, and I request Dr. Saab that take some of the issues that you have taken today again to some extent so we can get it straight. With that, Jai Shri Krishna to everyone. Thank you for joining. See you Sunday, tomorrow as well, and Thursday again. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gurudev.
Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Sri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.